I raised money which was meant to go towards school renovations on candy. I went house to house asking people to sign my slip thingy and for them to donate. I did this for about a week and got around €50 which I used on candy. I have no regrets. The money from the fundraiser was meant to go towards building a new section of the school or something like that. Lied every year about my length of sobriety, and don't plan to stop. Everyone in my area, including my family, thinks I haven't taken a drink since July of 2011. I did a few more times that year, and once in 2013, and once again in 2014. I've been lying about it since October of 2011 and I hate it, but I can't stop now. The further away it gets, the bigger the consequences. I've never told anyone because I feel like a piece of shit. I stayed in meetings the whole time, and now I'm doing everything I'm supposed to and have been for a long time. I just needed to get it out. Sometimes it keeps me up at night. I sold 6 boxes of candy for a fundraiser in 8th grade, and I kept all of the money. I went to Washington, D.C. for an 8th grade field trip. Everyone in my class was given a box of candy to sell in order to raise funds for the trip. Each box probably had 25 to 30 items. The boxes had Reese's, Snickers, Twizzlers, Crunch, etc. I went all around my neighborhood to sell. As mentioned, the boxes weren't big, so it wasn't particularly difficult to sell everything within 1 to 2 days. The thing was, the administration at my middle school didn't hold anyone accountable for not selling or keeping the money. They didn't mark down any names. Kids would just hand them the cash and they'd store it in the safe. By the time March rolled around, with 3 weeks to go before the trip, I had made just over $500. For an 8th grade kid, I felt like Bill Gates. The field trip was one of the best experiences of my life. And yes, I fully realized that I mooched off of my classmates who were honest about the fundraiser, and I totally played my neighbors and other people in my community who I knew. All I can say is that this isn't the person who I am today at all, and this was also 9 years ago. I haven't told anyone about it, and I don't plan on it. I endangered a father and his family all because they pulled out in front of me. Driving along clearing my head and I saw a man waiting an off-ramp stop sign. Not liking to be cut off I sped up but he went ahead anyways, cutting me off. My anger got the best of me and I sped past him, on a double yellow blind turn. After realizing what a stupid fucking thing to do that was, I pulled into my work parking lot and hoped he wouldn't get out and beat my ass. I admitted it was really fucking dumb and an asshole move. But I can't help but think he didn't believe me. This has never happened before and I truly feel bad. I don't think I can drive for a while. Snuck on my teacher's computer and changed my grades. Alright, so when I was in 11th grade, one was failing in class because I never focused and was too busy staring at my female teacher. I knew I had to do something to save myself from failing. What's next? I remembered that she isn't in her room during lunch break and that she leaves her computer open, so I naturally thought I would sneak in and change my grades. I knew the website to go to because she entered our grades into the same website we used to check them. Anyways, lunch came, I went to the restroom upstairs where her room is so nobody would see me enter. I then snuck out and went to her room and got on the computer and changed my F59 to an A100. In hindsight I should have made it a low B or something, an A100 is way too obvious. Anyways, I left and then I was called to the principal's office later that day. He showed me footage from the cameras of me entering her room. He got notified when my grades were changed and he saw it went from an F59 to an A100, so he wanted to know what happened. I immediately confessed to everything and I was suspended. I used to steal dollar bills from the soda vending machine. I used to work at a place where there was this vending machine. Inside this vending machine above the place where sodas were, you could sort of reach up and take dollar bills. I don't know why, they weren't returns. I mainly used this money to buy more soda. This was a time when 20 OZ soda was $1 at a vending machine. I probably stole $10 at most because they weren't always there, and I could never figure out the logic. I am mainly curious now as to how it functioned, and why there were dollar bills in easy reach of my not so skinny hand. I stole a kid's iPod when we were in 7th grade and sold it back to him for $50. I had an original 1GB iPod Nano and he had the classic with 8GB. I stole it off out of his backpack while sitting next to him in computer class. The next day he asked me if I'd seen it and I lied and said no, I haven't. In reality I took it home and put all of my music on it and used my locker keys to add a few scratches to the back of it. The next week I told him that I'd had this iPod and got it for Christmas but never used it, and he knew it was really his and called me out, so I showed him the scratches and my music, offered it to him for $50. The next day he said his parents gave him the $50 and we exchanged, and I went back to using my 1 GB Nano. I used the $50 to buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards and candy. My friend and I pretended to collect money for church so we could buy buckets. I was probably 8 years old and I'm not sure why we wanted money for buckets and felt like we couldn't ask our parents, but we did. So we decided to make up a story about collecting donations for church to fund our bucket endeavors. We made it to one house, received money, and felt so guilty that we immediately took the money and buried it. That was the day our bucket dreams died, but at least we knew we had somewhat of a moral compass. Couple years ago I hit a woman by the car and I am still suffering. So a couple years ago I was driving in a street where I accidentally hit a woman with the mirror of my car, but thankfully before hitting her completely my friend made a comment and I controlled the car, but I was shocked and it was a small and crowded street and I couldn't park the car because I was so shocked, so I turned the first exit and I came back, but there was nobody there, and to this day I really don't know what I am supposed to do or think about it, and I am afraid of driving the car. I got free admission to a play in high school because I didn't speak up. I was buying a last-minute ticket to see the school musical. They were going for $10 each. I handed the lady a $20 and expected change. There was a large last-minute rush and there were several people all thronged around the tickets table. I imagine this lady was quite flustered and not really paying much attention, so she gave me the ticket plus change for my transaction. I looked at the change and noticed instead of giving empty $10 back, she had given me the $20 bill I had originally handed her. I might have said something, but I was shy, and she had already moved on to the next person, so I kept walking and didn't say a word. I know it was not a lot of money, but I still feel bad sometimes about that. When I was in elementary school I gave myself a hickey and let my teacher panic so that I could get out of school for the day. When I was in first grade, I pretty much gave myself a small hickey on my arm. My best friend at the time joined in and gave herself some arm hickeys too, and we both ended up taking it too far. Neither of us knew what a hickey was. We just knew a little spot would show up if you sucked it. We each had an armful of hickeys by the time we finished, since we were resting on our desks with our faces on our arms during our break. Our teacher only seen mine and frantically asked me what happened, assuming the worst. Sneaky me said I didn't know and let her panic to the point of us agreeing that I go home for the day. I lied to get a medal in a karate tournament and got away with it. When I was about 7 to 8, I was taking karate at our community center. At some point we got to go to a tournament, and I had just gotten my yellow belt and was pitted against a kid who was still a white belt. I remember thinking I'm going to whip this kid's ass. Well, he won the first round and me the second, and I lost in the third. As we were leaving, my parents and I were passing the awards table. I told them to stop because my sensei said I'd earned a bronze medal. Somehow, I had convinced them, and somehow the guy running the table believed me and I got the medal. There, I said it. I'm now in my mid-30s and have never told a soul until now. I don't know what happened to my award, but I remember showing it off to everyone. I am a fraud.